Hi everyone. I just wanted to start off by saying that I've been having some allergy issues, so if it's hard to hear me, I just wanted to apologize for that right off the bat. Um, One of my favorite scriptures is Isaiah 51:12, which says, "I, yes, I, am the one who comforts you. So why are you afraid of mere humans who wither like the grass and disappear?" This scripture really hit home for me after I became a Christian because before coming to know the Lord, I had an extreme fear of people. It was always difficult for me to interact with others, and even now it's still a hardship that I face because of my past history. Before I go directly into my testimony, I want to give you guys some background information. So, I grew up in an unsaved household, and my father left when I was 2, so he was never really involved in the picture. And my mother had to work a lot to make up for everything, the bills and all of the expenses, etc. I was constantly at my babysitter's, and my mother was always abusive after my grandmother passed away. So the household was never a safe haven for me. It was always difficult to just kind of be there. Um, there was this point in my life where it seemed like all of my friends had left me and I was just alone. Um, because my mother had this need to keep me away from people because she felt that all people were going to rip me away from her. She has a lot of like mental health issues that I really don't understand half of them. So it caused a lot of issue and friction in our relationship. Um, but eventually, when my grandmother did pass away, my mom became more violent around the house and was constantly abusing me, so that was always difficult. Um, but after a little bit longer, like, I was invited to church by a friend who invited me to this youth group event. They were doing, we were just painting a room in the church. It's used for presentations and overhead projections. It was just basically called the movie room. And we had an overnight slumber kind of deal, and after all the work was done, we got to play video games and just unwind, and there was a mini sermon. And my youth pastor, was really nice about the event and everything, and it was the first time that I actually heard like about the Lord and how Jesus died on the cross and everything. So it hit me kind of home, but at the same time I was a little iffy because I wasn't sure how this would affect my life, and I wasn't like jumping into it right away. Towards the end of the event, we went outside to the parking lot, and that was where my youth pastor handed me one of those little salvation packet pamphlet things. I read through it, and I asked him if he could pray over me and if I could accept the Lord. And I actually accepted the Lord in a parking lot. So that was an interesting testimony. But even though I had a relationship with God, there was a lot for me to learn because I was going through severe depression, a lot of issues, and God was just working with that and teaching me things one by one. He was helping me grow spiritually and preparing me for this journey. He was allowing me to understand social interaction more, which is a difficult area for me. And he was just developing me and growing me and expanding me for what was to come. When I turned 18, my mother threw me out of the house, and I was essentially homeless. I had nowhere else to go. So I went to the pastor of the church and I explained the entire situation, and a family from the church offered me a place to stay for a year. So I stayed with them my junior year of high school, and then after that, they wanted me to leave for privacy issues, so I was left homeless yet again. And the church once again helped me find another home with an older woman who had a house to herself. So I stayed with her, and it helped me grow and realize that even though I had to struggle, God was always willing to provide a solution for all of my issues. He was always there to comfort me and help me through each of my difficulties. And honestly, all of the struggles helped me draw closer to the Lord. I constantly depended on Him for everything. I depended on Him for food, for water, for shelter. I was praying all the time, asking Him for assistance because I didn't know where else to turn. Nobody else seemed to care about Sabrina. Sabrina was just there, an inconvenience to their life, existing but not wanted by anyone. So that just became, the main thing for me. I always felt, oh, Sabrina's just this worthless person that no one's ever going to care about. And then God showed me, no, you're not worthless. I have a plan for you and I love you very much. I'm going to comfort me. And that's when the Isaiah scripture really hit me. It said to not be concerned with mere humans, do not fear humans, because God ultimately has the ultimate decision at the end, and God will confront everybody and judge them at the end, for their actions. So that really hit home for me and taught me to really focus on God instead of myself. So my major goal in life is to eventually proceed into some type of counseling or psychology major and to assist other people with their own issues, because I've gone through most of the things that people struggle with. I've gone through losing my grandmother, I've gone through being thrown out of the house, I've dealt with addictive parents, I've dealt with abusive parents, I've dealt with just about everything underneath the general spectrum that causes most people to go into extreme depression. So God has really given me this great opportunity to use everything that I've learned to help others. And I am just really excited about that because I can't wait. And I've already seen it working. I've already seen God using everything I've learned to be this great light to other people who don't know the Lord. And I've been able to present the gospel to people who wouldn't want to hear it any other way. Like, I have an atheist friend who accepted Christ. Well, a former atheist friend, obviously. But he came to know the Lord because of my relationship with God. He said I was the first Christian that didn't treat him bad because of his beliefs, and that made him rethink the entire thing. So I was just so thankful for that amazing ministry opportunity, and I hope God will continue to work in my life and allow me to do some awesome things and maybe present the gospel to people who wouldn't necessarily hear it otherwise. And I'm just so thankful. It has given me the opportunity to use my testimony to share the gospel. My life verse is Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that verse has been the ultimate truth for me, because there are situations that I have gone through that I never would have thought I would have made it through without God's help. I honestly don't know what I would have done without his assistance and guidance. And I just appreciate everything he's done for me. And I hope that this video encourages you all to take the time to look at God and say, hey, thank you for everything that you've done in my life. Just, I appreciate you as a whole. Anyway, that's my testimony speech. Thanks for listening.